Esteemed colleagues, thank you for providing me with this opportunity to demonstrate my understanding of Standard 3, Focus Area 3.3, Use Teaching Strategies, and Standard 4, Focus Area 4.1, Support Student Participation. I will do so by presenting two teaching strategies, differentiated learning and discussion. I will first discuss the key aspects of and context of differentiated learning strategy. I will then address the strategy of discussion, both as a means of formative assessment and as instruction. I will justify the inclusion of these strategies in my own teaching program by demonstrating how they fulfill the teaching standards 3.3 and 4.1 and how they positively impact on student learning as evidenced in the literature. I will conclude by stating how both of these strategies contribute to effective teaching practice. Differentiation is an approach to teaching that views the learning journeys of each child as being of value, no matter their level of learning or background. Instead of children having to fit the curriculum is adapted to each child. It can be adapted in a number of ways to alter what and how students learn and how they demonstrate their understanding. It is structured around group work and encourages teachers to vary the dynamics within groups to find the mix of students that will learn best together. The learning styles, prior knowledge, interests, and level of engagement can all be factors in determining the makeup of a group. Responding to each child's learning needs requires ongoing assessment for understanding to ensure the essential ideas and skills of the curriculum have been learned. Formative assessment is inextricably linked with differentiated instruction. It is a means of ensuring content is delivered so that all students are able to meet the high expectations differentiated learning bestows upon them. It is this flexible and targeted delivery of curriculum content that is at the heart of differentiated learning. The emphasis on group work imposes a need for the classroom to be organised in a particular way. Spaces for opportunities to learn in collaborative and individual ways should be provided. Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, after all, describes the difference between what is known personally and what can be learned socially. There should be room, literally, for both to develop in a differentiated classroom. Differentiated learning has been shown to improve the quality of learning for students who struggle to learn in the traditional context and to provide extended learning for opportunities for gifted students. It also leads to a greater engagement, motivation, autonomy, and sense of self-competence in students generally. The positive impact of differentiated learning in the primary setting has lasting implications for students, helping to establish their self-image as a learner and of schools as relevant, engaging, and personally meaningful, all of which influences a student's ability to learn. Differentiated learning and formative assessment are strongly linked, and one of the most effective formative assessment strategies is discussion. To be effective, discussion should be focused and planned around the Australian curriculum outcomes. Effective discussion is inclusive and equitable, as self-esteem is an important motivator for participation. Discussion should encourage students to articulate new understandings and recognise gaps in their own knowledge, particularly in small group settings where a teacher may not be present. Good discussion can be divided into two forms: dialogical teaching, where a teacher manoeuvres discussion into a given line of thinking or range of concepts with the entire class group, and exploratory talk, where students break into small groups and engage with one another around a given task or line of inquiry. Both differentiation and discussion are strategies that operate within the social constructivist context and work best when students are in small groups. Research suggests group sizes no greater than 4 and with mixed gender are the most conducive to ensuring a range of viewpoints and ideas are expressed and shared. Well-managed discussion can help students develop communicative and interpretive skills they will utilise for the remainder of their schooling. It acts as a means for organising thoughts and as a precursory process for any writing. And it empowers students to take charge of their own learning by stimulating imagination and curiosity. Teaching practice should be an amalgam of knowledge and skill that form a kind of professional literacy. The strategies of differentiation and discussion both contribute to this literacy. Differentiation encourages effective planning and informed decision-making, whilst being mindful of individual students' learning journeys. If student performance is a reflection of teaching performance, then teachers have an obligation to find creative solutions to the varied abilities of their students whilst continuing to develop professional literacy. Helping students develop the capacity to participate in discussion is an important role for the teacher. Learning how to present information in ways that stimulate discussion in small groups is a key skill for teachers to incorporate into their practice, as is listening to the responses and assessing for learning and providing feedback. I believe I have demonstrated here throughout this presentation that if properly implemented, these strategies would satisfy the Teaching Standards 3.3 and 4.1 and would be easily justified in any teaching program. Developing these two outcome-linked strategies for use in the repertoire of strategies a teacher will need helps to provide the kind of flexibility that is necessary for teachers to make an effective difference in the learning journeys of their students, and I wouldn't hesitate to include either of them in mine. Thank you.